Your partner's relationship with money and finances.
100%. This is so important. Money and finances will be such a big thing in the future, especially if you combine finances and/or plan on buying a home together. How do you each like to spend your downtime? The time when you're not working, sleeping or out? Do you share hobbies, like the same types of shows or movies? Or do one of you love to read in the dead quiet while the other loves to do needlecrafts while they blast music? It's important to make sure that you can comfortably just coexist together. It doesn't sound like a big thing, but it'll become one really quickly if the way one of you enjoys downtime prevents the other partner from enjoying theirs.
This is why I'm glad I'm living with my current BF. There's so many things you don't realize about a person until you live with them.
Don't marry someone until you've seen them stressed. Until your relationship has been stressed.
Agreed. This is how you know lol.
Finances. People like to romanticize the whole money doesn't matter if we love each other thing, but it will definitely matter. Saving behavior, investment mindset, debt, spending habits, what your partner considers wants versus needs, all of it will affect you in some way.
That is my only pet peeve with my partner. He's perfect in every other way, for me at least, but he spends money like we have disposable income. We're trying to save up for a trip to my hometown and I just want to smack him when he keeps spending. And how they treat people in the service industry. Are they nice? The waitstaff, do they tip? Are they nice to cashiers who are grumpy cause they'd rather be anywhere else? I had an ex that was awful to waitstaff. I would clean up the table and put everything in a pile for the waiter to pick up, cause my mom was a waitress my whole childhood. He would look at me like I was insane. That's their job. Doesn't mean I can't make their job a little easier. A lot of these comments discuss pretty big things to pay attention to. If you're looking for small things I'd watch out for. Do they put the cap back on the toothpaste? Do their dirty clothes go in the hamper? Or next to it? Are they always late? Do they put people on speakerphone and have loud conversations in public? Those are some of the yellow flags I'd look out for, cause you'll have to live with those forever. Tears of joy.
I'm one of those people that squeezes the toothpaste from the middle and top, and only when it looks deflated and wrung out, do I start to smush forward the toothpaste from the bottom. My best friend saw that once and was so annoyed with me. She argued it was ridiculous and it makes no sense to do it that way. Whenever she happened to see my toothpaste, she'd fix it out of annoyance. I just remember thinking, like, if we ever became roommates, which we didn't in the end, I'd make a conscious effort to not do this, but I can so imagine unintentionally bothering her every day. And like, it's a minor thing, but I do think when living with someone it's best to know all the little habits that bother you and to openly discuss them.
A lot of people think that their partner's past relationships don't matter. Which is true to a certain extent. But I think it's important to know the type of dynamic my partner had with previous women. If a guy says that all of his ex-girlfriends were crazy, then he either has a poor judgment of character, or he was the problem.
I wish people would pay attention to this. It's either poor judgment or they treated all of them badly and decided that their entirely reasonable reaction to being hurt by an intimate partner is them being crazy.
Getting along with the husband's parents, I feel like, is a major one that gets overlooked.
Agreed. My in-laws treated me like an outsider throughout my 18-year marriage. It made me feel like I was not part of the family I married into, and there was very little support for us. They would give excuses for us not to visit them, etc. I have no idea why till this day.
Their everyday reaction to your presence. Do they look up at you when you enter a room? Do they smile? Or do they ignore you? Because I'm telling you, 10 years of being ignored drains your soul.
I know a couple who don't have this. I don't see them lasting. He doesn't seem to enjoy her presence. Doesn't smile when she enters a room, seems annoyed whenever she speaks and always seems to disagree with her, will dance with other friends but not with her, etc. I'm like, do you even like her? Why are you with her? Poor girl deserves better. And I would also add, each other's take on personal space. I am not married yet, but is it possible for a couple to live together and still provide each other with space enough for their individual growth and peace as well?
Realistically, this is a depressing answer, but it is easier the more money you have. Two introverts who need regular time actually alone, even if they're trying really hard to respect each other's space, will probably have a hard time cohabiting in a studio apartment, but if there's budget to each have their own personal physical spaces, it becomes much easier.
Your future in-law's behavior and personality, especially if you plan on visiting often. I totally overlooked this. How he treats your things, does he only cares about his clothes because it's not his problem? How he treats you with his friends around.
If you're a night owl or an early bird.
This is major because it's something you can't control. No matter how tired I am, I wake up around 5:30 a.m. every day, even for a while. Sometimes I can go back to sleep, but otherwise I'm awake for the day. An ex was a night owl and considered 8:30 a.m. early. It was a factor in our breakup.
Travel together for at least a week. I know travel may sound big as it requires some considerable amount of planning and finance to set up, but do hear me out. A quick way to gauge all the small things that could be considered before deciding to commit with someone is to share personal space in a place that is outside comfort zones for the both of you. And a holiday is different than cohabiting because then you'd be both away from familiar personal things and routines, which kinda forces both of you to unmask. Toothpaste cap on or off? How does he treat wait staff? How does he deal with stress when things go slightly off plan? Is he a stickler to routines or more chill? Does your travel style match with his? Does he leave clothes on the floor? And the list can go on and on and on.
Honestly, this is probably a big thing, but do you like them? Do they like you? In another universe, if a relationship were not on the table, would the two of you actually be friends? It shocks me how many people don't seem to be in a yes scenario to this one.
If you can look dispassionately at them and wonder if you could even be friends, marriage is not going to work.
How close are they to their family, and is this compatible with you? Myso was never a big family man, but I've dated men who have been. I've had varying degrees of comfort with this and prefer someone who's not up his mom's ass 24/7. It was very important to me that I am number one.
As you should be princess light skin tone.
This sounds really stupid, but do you agree on how early you should be at an airport before a flight? So many couples have different ideas on punctuality and traveling. It can cause huge amounts of stress.
How you want to celebrate holidays versus how he and his family celebrates holidays.
The relationship between your fiancé and his mother. If he still hasn't managed to cut the umbilical cord, run.
How do they react when the Wi-Fi doesn't work? How do they react when their computer is being a little slow? How do they react when they lose a video game?
Their decision-making when it comes to big decisions that can affect both people in a relationship. Would they consult you before making a decision? Or just make the decision and not let you know ahead of time? It's an important consideration.
This one is huge and often less about the decision itself and more about how it gets made. Super important.
Are they able to maintain friendships is a big one for me. It's not the quantity, but the quality. For example, my sister can make friends, but after she feels comfortable enough to show her true self, all relationships, platonic and romantic, end up with a breakup. She always claims there's something the other party did wrong. Cleanliness of the person's house. If you feel the urge to wipe counters and pick things up while you're over there, do you want to spend the rest of your life picking up after this person?
Yes. I actually think of this sometimes. Like, is this person going to be my husband or my child? I do not expect their home to be clean all the time, but always seeing their room messy? Nope.
Make sure you're sexually compatible.
Had to scroll down way too far to see this.
How do they behave in difficult situations? When something important goes wrong, stress is unusually high, or an unforeseen hurdle gets in the way. How a person reacts to such situations should definitely be experienced before thinking about marriage.